All right, so let me pin my video. Hang on here. Okay, so welcome. This is kind of an introduction to accountability calls, and maybe you guys have experienced an accountability call before, maybe you haven't, but we did these consistently for a good long time. I want to say we probably had them going consistently for, well, I guess it wasn't too long, maybe 6 months or so. And we just kind of fizzled out. I think what happened was we hit burnout with them because we weren't changing things up and maybe implementing some changes that could have made them more beneficial for people. And so I regret to say that we stopped doing them. So I'm just going to mute everyone for sound's sake. You guys, I will give you the chance for sure to ask questions or unmute yourselves if you want to. But just for the sake of like nice and quiet, clear sound, I did that. So anyways, what I had this reality check when I went to Brooke's Align retreat. And some of you guys have heard me talk about what an impact that retreat was on me in so many ways. And one of the things that really stuck out is she made this beautiful workbook for us. I mean, it's so just full of gold. And she got to this point in her training where she started talking about accountability calls. And she said that this is one of the things that she gives credit to her massive success and her continued growth is that she has been so dedicated to these accountability calls for, it's been over, well, almost over 2 years now. She started hers in October 2017, and she still does them to this day, and she makes them a huge priority. And she shared the value that she sees in them. And I was kind of like kicking myself thinking, okay, we had this going. It was going really well. I think we all kind of got burned out on it when we could have like shifted gears and found a way to make it work for us better. Instead, we just stopped doing it. And so what I want to do is go over what accountability calls are about, kind of what they look like, and then give you the decision to participate in accountability calls moving forward. And what my hope is that if you have a team where you can get at least 3 people committed to doing these, and it is a commitment. I will tell you the whole purpose of these, like you have to have like ground rules and you have to follow them or it eliminates the whole purpose of them. But if you can get 3 people from your team to commit to doing these and seeing the value in them, then I highly encourage you to do one yourself. That doesn't mean you can't participate in mine, but I will ask if you have 3 or more people from your team participating in my call, that you turn around and do your own. And then just like you can feel free to plug into mine if you want to, but then that you're running the same thing with your team. And once you have the outline and you understand the concept of it, you guys are all totally capable of running your own accountability calls. But what we're hoping, the hope is that this trickles down, through the leadership funnel and touches all of those that can benefit and really helps people grow and hold themselves accountable and hold each other accountable in an amazing, very motivating way. And so I'm just going to go through and like I highlighted some of the notes from our workbook that Brooke shared with us. And this has got me really excited. So I mean, feel free to ask questions as we go. It's not really like a super formal outline with Q&A at the end. So if you guys, if you think of something, then you can go ahead and ask whenever. But the whole purpose of accountability calls, let's talk about that first. To motivate and increase morale, to gather the people that are showing up and decrease feelings of loneliness. There's a sense of community and not wanting to quit on others, let alone themselves, when we're meeting together on a regular basis and sharing what we're doing with each other and just kind of in the trenches together. There's a feeling like you can see yourself in others and the highs and the lows that they are normal because you're experiencing that together. This forces the participants to be accountable for their activities without being shamed, but in a setting where you have to bring your activities or lack of activities into the light. And that can be really powerful, especially, you know, for me, like accountability is a big deal. It's something that I kind of, I won't say I run from, but I don't really embrace it all the time. But that is a really powerful motivator for me to be able, like, to have to return and report. And my lack of activity is something that I don't want to have to share that. So it motivates me to do the work and be consistent, and then the results come. So healthy competition or motivation by seeing what's possible through your accountability call sisters. This is an intimate setting where you can get real training to the top tier people and they get access to you. Live coaching on the spot. It's relatable and everyone's pretty much going through the same thing. The group effect. As a few people rise, the rest of the group rises. You can scale your business without being exhausted from 5 to 10 hours of individual coaching calls. And that's a big deal, because I know as a leader, like the bigger your team gets, the harder it becomes to try to meet the specific needs of the individuals that you're working with specifically. And so we've been there, done that, a lot of us, where we tried individual coaching calls. It's not that they're not amazing. It's not that they're not worthwhile. But guys, there's a certain point of leadership where you're trying to help so many people that it just becomes completely overwhelming and it will shut you down. So this is a great way to give you all of these benefits that I just read through in a group setting, and kind of, allow yourself time freedom as well. So a couple things that Brooke shared here that I had written notes on that I think they're covered in the next section. So we'll probably just read over them now. So here is kind of how an accountability call is to run. It's done via Zoom once a week. 30 minutes is the max, absolute max. And we were pretty good about this too when we did them before, is when you hit the 30-minute mark, you will cut someone off in the middle of a sentence and say, "That's it, girls. Thanks so much for your time. No offense, but we have to stick to our 30-minute commitment." And the value in doing that is people know what to expect up front, and they know what their commitment is, and they never, feel taken advantage of if they have. I know we've got people that have to run to pick up their kids from school or whatever, and it just can throw you off. We want to be respectful of people's time. So that 30-minute max is very important. Respect, like I said, be respectful of people's times. It's really important that these are not recorded. So this is an advantage that we want people to have to make an effort to benefit from. So that is the cool thing that we found about doing these is, some of the calls were more beneficial than others. Some of them you're like, oh my gosh, I wish everyone could have heard that. But the value in not recording them and sharing them is that people, when they make the effort to show up. I'm sorry, my dog. What, Nikki? Let me let her out really quick. Sorry about that. Anyways, don't record and post. that's all you needed to hear, I guess. This establishes the freedom to be vulnerable also. So if we're getting really personal, sharing things that are vulnerable, we know that that's not going to be recorded and posted. So you know who's there, that can keep that, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Anyways, every week except holidays, rain or shine, continuous, no more than 20 people, minimum amount 5 to 6. So the bigger the group gets, the harder it is. We did find that, but we can work with bigger groups. So I want to, at this point, open it up to everyone. And like I said, just encourage anyone who has 3 of their own teammates participating to turn around and do their own for those on their team that are wanting this. What we will see, it's just natural that people are going to drop off as we go. So you know how everyone wants to commit to something that sounds amazing in the beginning, but then the follow through on it, it becomes effort. You have to put effort in as you go, and naturally some people are going to drop off, especially with the guidelines that we're going to be using, and that's absolutely okay. You hopefully will see the value in it and take what you need from it. So pre-qualifying is really important. This is something that I definitely see the value in, and we did this the last time we did them. You want to have an individual conversation with each person before they choose to participate and give them the expectations. So you want, Brooke suggests like that you actually like have a one-on-one conversation with that person, and that would be me. So if you want to refer a leader from your team, then the way it should work is like I would have to pre-qualify them before they jump on that first call. So this is just kind of what it's about. I can share this recording, but then moving forward, once we actually start the calls, I'm going to make sure to pre-qualify each one that wants to participate, and those won't be recorded. Okay. So the way that Brooke pre-qualifies people is she'll ask them, do you want this business? And then she'll say, are you sure? Define the purpose of the accountability calls, and then share your passion and heart and set up the expectations. The expectations are that they have to be dedicated. We don't care about like speed and progress. Like we don't care so much about results that we're seeing them sign up more and more people every month, but we're looking for loyalty and longevity here. So she says she'll take a slow developer who will grow a little all the time and stay the course any day over a hot shot. You can tell if they want it and if they're going to be committed. So the specific rules are you have to show up. Okay, 2 absences are allowed per 3 to 4 months, whatever the term is. We did every 3 months. There were 2 absences allowed, and they had to be excused. The excuses for true emergencies aren't, I didn't feel well, or my kids were being really naughty, or I wanted to go to the movies, or whatever. We did require that they were like pre-excused absences or an emergency. And so you really have to stick to that. That's what we found in order to establish the integrity of the group. This establishes integrity and eliminates flakiness, like she says in here. Be on time. Turn in the weekly written report the day before to allow time for review. Be supportive and interactive. This is a little community. Positivity only. We acknowledge problems and immediately move to solutions and empowerment. So we're not here to whine and like bash or like pout or vent. We're here to, we're also not naive. So we're open to sharing like problems or, you know, issues that we're having. but we want to address that quickly with come up with solutions and empowerment. So the anatomy of a call, you open with a welcome and report. That should be like 8 to 10 minutes of the call. The reports are either like we'll go through and have everyone share their numbers for the week, or some weeks we'll do wins, lows, and goals. So you can't, like, you need to do that in 20 to 30 seconds. We don't want people like sabotaging the time of others. So we'll make that known up front. Live coaching can occur during the report or afterward, taking from what some people expressed or what you read in their sheets. It's ideal to have someone else sharing something they learned as well. So this is like a lot of group communication. It's not just, me or whoever's leading the call getting on and sharing training or whatever, or coaching. It's going to be a lot of interaction, and that kind of leads the conversation, which is the most beneficial. So focus on actual action steps so that at the end of the call, they have something specific to do or work on or focus on for the following week. This is not just a rah-rah call. This is mindset and motivation, but also business activities that multiply. And on time, any additional chatting happens throughout the week in the chat. So we will have we'll have a messenger thread for the people on the accountability call only. As soon as, if you miss more than 2 weeks of accountability calls, then you do get excused from the group and removed, and there's no hard feelings, no guilt whatsoever. It's just, this isn't the right time for you right now for this. That's totally fine and acceptable. The results of accountability calls for Brooke that she shared, less time for her and more impact. She can taproot and develop people while their leader, who also may be on the call, is developing as well. It's less training because it's not 30 to 45 minutes of the same conversation over and over with the same people. It's a way for her to weekly connect with top leaders and have them platform to influence them positively in their business and their life. Leader retention has been through the roof. I haven't had a single leader on one of these calls quit the business. I have had someone quit the business, but not that's been in my calls. This is her speaking. My business has doubled income-wise. Thomas went from emerald to sapphire. I went from ruby on my re-entry to diamond. I know the needs of my team better, and I know more team members 5 levels deep. I believe in knowing people below your 1 to 2s, but also understand you cannot and do not want to micromanage and individually coach all of them. Because I know more people, we have a strong team culture as leaders. It helped me to stay accountable and not fall into management or step away from my business. I am accountable. So here's some follow-up information that she shared. She says every 3 to 4 months, she spends 10 minutes interviewing each member to evaluate their progress to see if this is still a good fit for them, and to talk about their goals for the next 3 to 4 months. We did them on a 3-month rotation, like I said. Reestablish the boundaries and give them praise and encouragement. You need to have an evaluation quarterly, and you truly do need to uphold the attendance. If they don't respect your time and value your coaching, then you are effectively saying to everyone else that it's not that important and that they are there, or that it's not that important that they're there and your time isn't very important. Tough love is love, period. Continuous calls make for continuous growth. We teach our teams we are in it for the long haul. We take 2 to 3 weeks off over the holidays, and if another major holiday falls on the day of the call, we take it off. Otherwise, we have a call. Longevity is key. So she shared just some personal examples of how much she believes in these accountability calls. And then she shared her outlines that she uses for the calls. I have a graphic that I shared with our Bear Lake Retreat earners. that Bree Coolidge made following these a bit. But what we talked about doing the first week, I also shared something that Tamara had shared with me where she encourages you to pick a percentage growth that you want to make for the month. And then you break that down into people. Like who on your team do you realistically think you could help re-rank that month that has any interest or whatever, and who do you have that hasn't yet ranked silver that you could help this month? How many people do you personally want to sponsor this month? Like you break that down and make the percentage into a strategy and an actual game plan. And so the girls and I really liked that, and so we talked about doing that our first week of each month on our accountability calls, is sharing our percentage growth, percentage in points that we want to set for the month, and how we broke that down individually. So having that done at the beginning of the month where we have a game plan, it's actually like, it feels so doable when you've got that broken down and right in front of you and you have the messages to use already. And it makes it so much more successful when you start working early in the month, front loading the month, like you may have heard before. So, she just shares like some tips for the people leading the call, so we don't really need to go over that. I don't know that we can, well, I guess we could discuss this for those of you that decide that you are committed to doing this. I want to come up with a weekly outline, or maybe we could do a different one each week to keep it fresh, but kind of keep our focus. Because she does have 3 pages here. I don't know, I honestly don't know if she uses all 3 of these as the outline every week, or if maybe she switches it up a little bit. But that's something that we can discuss once you guys decide if you want in or not. And again, like I said, I am open to, as long as we can keep the group size manageable. And I know that we will lose 1 or 2 here or there as we go. But if we can make it manageable, I do want to open this up to anyone that's wanting to be here, with the intention that if you're able to, like if you have enough interest from your own team, that you will do one yourself as well. Just because, and I don't say that, I guess I won't make that like a hard, fast rule if you feel like that's something that you aren't able to commit to or willing to do. But the value in having an intimate little group and just the connections you're gonna make with those that you work closely with is, it's a lot more impactful in a smaller group. So it kind of changes the flow of the group based on the size of the group. And we can still make these great with a big group, but I'm just saying that, like, that my recommendation is, and this is with doing these before and having other leaders do their own before, the value in that is really great. So we'll just say that and not say it's a hard, fast rule that you can do, but it's a great, like, highly recommended tip, okay? So other than that, do you guys like want me to, I guess I can probably just screenshot these, the outlines of it, and show you what she gave us as suggestions for the outline. And you can, maybe we can give our input on what we would most like to discuss. And a lot of these things aren't like, you're not going to be reporting every single thing on there. It's more like you turn it in, you know that I may ask you to highlight an experience that you shared in one of them, or maybe I won't that week. It's just kind of spurs some ideas for conversation, basically. So it's not like you're going to be reporting every single week. I signed up this many ambassadors this week. I followed up with this many inactive people this week. But just the making the effort to look it up, and those aren't even necessarily questions that are on the outline. I'm just using that as an example. But just you making the effort to take a look, a really honest look at where you're at and reporting it on paper is a big deal. And it makes a huge difference in your progress. Because like she said in the very beginning here, I love how she said, this is focusing this, it forces you to be accountable to your activities without being shamed, but in a setting where you have to bring your activities or lack of into the light. That's pretty powerful, right? Because I know if you're like me, you don't want to report that you haven't done any IPAs this week. That's not something that you're going to feel good about reporting. So it motivates you to get it done, which is part of the beauty of doing this in that group setting where we're all together and gathered. All right, so any questions?
I'm in.
Staring at me. Emily's in. Woo! High five. Yay, Em. You guys don't have to commit right now. You don't have to commit ever. I just wanted you to understand what this is going to look like and see if it's something that you feel like is a fit for you. I won't take offense if it's not. I understand we're all maybe at different places, and if this is something that you see the value in and you believe that it's, you know, could lead to growth, Kate's in, woo, then it's something that I'm excited to offer. So just know that. How should we have people? Maybe just shoot me a private message and let me know if you guys are in. I'll go ahead and pre-qualify you right now. Don't commit if you're not willing to make a commitment to be there weekly, okay? We are planning, I wish I could work around every single person's schedule that's interested, but I have to do what's best for me, and that's gonna be 12:45 on Wednesdays every week, unless it's a holiday. And you are allowed 2 absences over the next 3 months once we start. Those need to be excused ahead of time. And of course, if there's an emergency, then we will take that into account. But an emergency needs to be a real emergency, not something that couldn't be worked around. You know what I mean? So awesome. I'm thankful for your time, guys. I'm excited to do this with you. Private message me if you want in. Feel free to talk to people that you think are a good fit for this, but know that it's not something to be taken lightly, and they need to understand that the commitment is serious and that we will be holding to the ground rules that we make for the group in order to keep the integrity of it. All right, so that's it. Thanks for your time. Love you guys. And I'll post this recording. So message me if you want in. Love ya.
Thank you, Whitney.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.